Coming down the home stretch for the 2017 Fright Tour, we find ourselves in southern New Jersey at the Columbus sale. Those of you local know what I'm talking about. Those of you don't, look it up on Google. But the Bloodshed Farms used to be the haunted prison in Mount Holly, which we reviewed many years ago. However, given the major revamp and name change, it is time to review them again. Bloodshed Farms is just about a 45-minute drive from home, boasting 4 attractions, including a hayride, an asylum, a wooded trail, and a clown attraction. As you know, those freak me out. We were very excited to see what the guys at Bloodshed have cooked up and created. If you don't know, many years ago, I witnessed my first kind of private hunting at the Bloodshed itself, which is where they got this idea, this name from. Basically, you sat in a shed and this one actor kind of tortured you a little bit and put you in awkward positions. It was really, really cool, something I never experienced at that time. So we were kind of interested to see what they got under their sleeves. So we began the night with the haunted hayride. Now, as you know, I do a lot of research. I look at reviews of places that we're going to. And I had read that line management at this attraction was kind of non-existent. So when we got there, somehow, I don't know, we wandered down the wrong path. What we thought was the VIP line, and it wasn't. There were 4 different holding areas where you were moved to and from before you actually got on the hayride. So you had the main line, you had the VIP line, 1 holding area, you had 2 holding area, and then you had the holding area right before you got on the wagon. I don't know why, but for some reason, it took over 30 minutes for us with VIP on a not a very busy night for us to get through the line and onto the wagon. We got told we were in the wrong path, so we moved over. We were put in the VIP line. Then we stood there. Then we were moved back to this holding area, stood there, then moved from that holding area to a holding area right before the hayride, and stood there and waited for the hayride itself. I was absolutely confused and baffled as to what kind of program situation this was, how it even worked. Everyone in line was utterly confused. You could hear it. Everyone behind us was talking about it. I do not know whoever comprised those lines, but all you need literally is the VIP line, the regular line, 1 holding area. So what you do is you gather everyone up from each line, put them in that holding area. When the wagon pulls up, you move them out, you put the next group in the holding area. You don't need 7 or 8 different holding areas for people to get on this hayride. It was absolutely crazy. Thankfully, they had Halloween movies playing on the projector screen out there, so I was entertained by that. But enough was enough. I was ready to get on. We had VIP. It wasn't that busy. It took over a half hour. Once on the hayride was actually a pretty cool vehicle itself. It had metal bars, kind of like a graveyard fence along the sides with these large wooden poles that came up on each side that had blue lights facing out. However, there was a very weird, large black box with a white kind of window in the center of it. Now, there were benches in this black box, and I knew I was not sitting in that box because you weren't going to be able to see anything. I mean, you couldn't see anything in front of the wagon anyway because of this box. So, for me, I was like, this kind of takes away because you can't really see anything that's coming up. Maybe that was the effect. They didn't want you to see anything, but then I realized it was because the tractor had really bright lights on it, so it was kind of to block the harsh lighting. Put some dampers over it, some, gels over it to dampen the light. You don't need it that bright out to see. You could put like a pink on there and get that going and you'd be fine. We began the hayride, and to me, I felt like Bloodshed Farms, and I apologize for saying this, it might come off harsh, but it's my honest opinion. I felt like the hayride was built just to have a hayride. There were very few amount of scenes. These scenes were very small. These scenes were maybe full of 1 or 2 actors. Everything was basically very, very spread out, and then in between each scene, there was nothing going on. I mean, we saw a Headless Horseman who had a head. You could see it was wrapped in burlap. So I don't understand the direction for this hayride, and I don't understand why have it if you're not going to go for it. I feel like the hayride with the corn, because that's basically what you went through the entire time, could be really cool, but the actors were only able to, because of the large black bars on each side, and then the large black box, in the front, all the actors went to the back of the hayride that had steps and then came up through the center. So to me, I was like, everything's backloaded. There's nothing happening up at the front or in the middle because of these gigantic black bars. So at first I thought it was cool. And then after seeing what happened during the hayride, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually a bad setup. I'd get rid of the bars, I'd get rid of the black box, open it up so the actors can come in at all different angles. To me, it was very backloaded. At the end of the hayride, 2 actors got on board, and right in the middle of everyone standing there, they decided to do the dance to Thriller. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Michael Jackson, I love Thriller, I love the dance. However, there was really no point to this. It felt very plopped in the middle of nowhere. You did it right on the wagon, so you couldn't really move that much. Then, at the end of the song, as Vincent Price is laughing, the white window on the box decides to slam down. It's a boudoir, and there is a worker behind there who's controlling the very, very loud soundtrack with very annoying beeps in between each song, because I guess she had to change each song to the correct scene. Slammed down, got no one because Vincent Price was still laughing, so no one even knew the window had opened unless you looked towards that side. So it was very ineffective. I feel like it needs a lot of direction, some polishing. Again, get rid of the black box, get rid of the soundtrack, and get rid of the black bars along the sides. Maybe face your people out and beef up your scenes, beef up your actors. It just felt very, very thrown there because you needed a hayride when you really don't need a hayride. You can still have a pretty effective event with just 3 walks. Moving on from the hayride, it was time for Hell's Gate Asylum now. An Asylum attraction, to me, should have your best actors. Point blank. Your Asylum attraction, if you're going to do one, should have one of the most talented, dedicated group of actors inside. That's whatever I have witnessed when I go to an Asylum attraction. They are running, laughing, screaming, taunting, teasing you, running into things, jumping over things. These actors felt like they had been given a Valium and were set off to bed. I loved the facade. It was awesome. And then once we got inside, all the actors kind of just stared at you as you walked by or said, hello, hi, want to play with me? And did a simple little laugh. There was no intensity inside. There were some nice scenes. It was creepy. There was this entire hallway covered in crutches. That was really cool, something I'd never seen. There was a bathroom scene. There was a really fogged out black box of chain link fences where the actors ran and jumped on the fencing. There was a cool mannequin section. However, nothing happened in the mannequin section. Definitely put someone there, maybe put a roof over it and fog it out. For me, Hell's Gate Asylum lacked intensity, and that's the theme throughout the night. The next attraction was the carnival attraction. That pretty much lacked the same exact thing as Hell's Gate Asylum. Again, another style attraction you want to have dedicated and talented actors in if you're going to have clowns, because they are to laugh and make jokes and kind of get close to you and say funny things. And again, these actors inside were given a Valium and just didn't have any oomph to them, which was upsetting because clown attractions in general scare me. Moving on from the carnival, it was time for their wooded trail. Now, this one actually wasn't that bad. It had some really good scares in there. However, we were behind this very frightened group of girls that shuffled through in a gaggle rather than actually walking. So what ended up happening is we bottlenecked, and then people behind us caught up. There was a very, very large line to get through everything. The woods were actually pretty good. You went through some corn parts, then you went through some wood. I would say get rid of the Stranger Things scene. It really doesn't do anything and it doesn't fit. It's kind of just like you're doing it just to do it. The entire wooded trail was dark. It was creepy. Some really good spots for scares. But again, the actors, towards the middle, they had no oomph. There were no actors there. I felt like there were some really good spots where you could have gotten in really intense scares. But, it wasn't until the end that the actors really started to get involved and really started to get intense and in your face. The chainsaw room, there was this really large, gigantic, handheld operated prop that Joe literally hugged. There were some nice touches in there. So I feel like if maybe you took the actors from that wooded trail and kind of scattered them throughout the carnival and the asylum and kind of had them train everyone, you'd have a decent, style attraction here. However, everything just needed polish. It just needed work. I feel like, you know, everything's just lacking intensity there. And it's, you know, maybe it was because it was the end of the year. I do not know. If any of you have been to Bloodshed Farms and would like to shed some light on what you experienced as far as the attractions go, please comment below. But overall, Bloodshed Farms isn't a place that we would be recommending to anyone to travel more than an hour for. If you're looking for the best scares, there are definitely some better places in the area. Maybe in a few years, once they kind of work out the kinks and redevelop some of their attractions, hopefully Bloodshed Farms will be on the roster as one of the scariest places. But as for now, it is unfortunately not, which pains me because I wish every haunted attraction was magnificent and scary and brilliant. So hopefully you guys concur with me. Definitely post, comment, like, share, and repost this video as much times as you want. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and, of course, subscribe to our newsletter. Until next time, happy screaming.